Hello, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the success stories of the MBA Edge. So, the genesis behind this entire web series is to connect with successful individuals who were applicants and then made the successful transition to getting good admits and then are looking for pursuing their MBA or have recently completed their MBA. Through this series, we aim to connect with these candidates to figure out what really worked for them, what didn't work, and what their entire journey was. So this basically helps a lot of other applicants plan their entire application journey, figure out whether they really want to apply for an MBA or not, and what that entails. So today I have a very special guest with me, Monish, who I've had the opportunity to work with over the past year and a half almost. And what's unique about him is he already had a pretty successful career. So he's originally from India, then he went on to pursue his master's in the United States and decided during the course of his professional career that he wanted to pursue an MBA. So, I mean, we'll just probably listen from Munish what his entire application journey was, what challenges he faced. So, Munish, on to you. So, I think you had a very interesting professional career. You were doing extremely well. So, why don't you just maybe talk about that a little bit to our viewers and our audience?
Sure, Abhinav. Thanks for the introduction. I pursued a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and
Yeah.
then moved to the US in 2016 to pursue a graduate degree in the same field, focusing on renewable energy technologies. Over the past 6 years, over 6 years now, I've been working in the oil and gas trading industry.
Mm-hmm.
I started off in a leadership development program right out of grad school. And for the past 5 years or so, I've been on the trading floor over here in Houston. We trade mostly oil, both the physical commodity and futures and speculative positions as well. I've gained a lot of individual contributor skills in my time here at Pilot. That's my employer. And I've developed strong quantitative skills and strong analytical skills. But at this point, I think for me, I felt the urge to make the transition into more of a leadership role and maybe climb the corporate ladder and make an impact in a different way. Maybe even transition from the brown side of energy to maybe the green or like the sustainable side of energy. And I figured that the best way to do so would be an MBA.
Okay. No, I mean that's interesting because typically what happens is a lot of people through their MBA they're trying to fast track their career and trying to sort of take it forward and get into different positions. But I think in your case you already had a very solid career, right? So I mean, would the cost benefit analysis really work for it? So I mean, are there any other factors that you had in mind? Because you already were in a leadership program, which is pretty standard for a post MBA person to aspire for.
Yeah, there were multiple factors that factored into my decision making before I went down the path of maybe even considering an MBA program.
Hmm.
I suppose having a strong engineering background, but not as strong a business background was one of the key factors. I figured like getting a professional business degree would help round out my skill set to make me more of a, an agile professional in the workspace. And from a success perspective, yes, from a pure dollar in, dollar out perspective, I've been quite successful in my career so far. But from a knowledge perspective, I wanted to, just become more multifaceted in the way that I think. And I think the MBA, if not more of a value add today, will be a value add for me going forward in the future, both from a monetary side and also from an intrinsic growth side.
Understood. No, that's helpful to know because I think every time when we are sort of working with candidates, they just tend to have that ROI perspective wherein they are like, okay, this is X amount of money I'm putting in and this is the payback period. But I think that really doesn't work, right? Because it's more of a long-term investment that you're doing in your career and upskilling yourself. So I think it's important for people to know that an MBA is not a 2 year sort of an undertaking. It's more of a 35, 40 year career, career upskilling opportunity. And it just doesn't stop there. I mean, you have a career post that also.
I agree. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
to add to that, I
yeah.
suppose the networking opportunities are not just limited to recruiting out of your MBA program. Your networking reaches out to all corners of the world and all corners of the professional circuit. So doors will always open for you once you complete your program.
Understood. No, that's interesting to know. So now I think what a lot of people sort of are really stuck up with is the entire application journey, right? So why don't you just maybe talk a little bit about your experience, how you sort of I mean what your journey was like, how you started the process of maybe finding out the school that you want to apply to, what you want to do subsequently, and just maybe talk a little bit about what the entire application journey was.
Sure. So I think the first thing that I had to isolate is a geographic region where I wanted to apply.
Yeah,
Having been in the US for the past 8 years, I already have a strong brand on my resume from my graduate experience here. I figured that both from a diversity of life perspective as well as a diversity of educational brand perspective to maybe pursue something in Europe. For multiple reasons, right? One is to diversify my resume as an individual that can stand out in recruiting circles,
yeah,
but also the fact that Europe primarily offers 1 year programs versus the standard 2 year programs in the US. We spoke about cost benefit analysis. So, from that perspective, like a 1 year turnaround to get back into the workforce was pretty appealing to someone like me, where I already have more than 6 years of work experience under my belt.
yeah.
Additionally, in terms of the what I'm putting into what I'm getting out, it worked better for my cost analysis in the way that I looked at it. So that's something that I had to isolate, and that's why I started honing in on European business schools. The second thing that I wanted was a smaller, more intimate program versus the larger scale programs that tend to admit a lot of students.
Yeah.
Nothing against those, but I just found that I get more value where there's a smaller cohort where I can learn more about each individual person and not just the program. Because for me, I believe an MBA program is half the program, half the networking, and then the whole experience is what you learn from your peers. So that's something that I had to take into mind while making my decision. So that's kind of my criteria, how I isolated the schools that I wanted to apply for.
And what was the journey like, because I think one is the school shortlisting parameters, and then second, after that, I think that's just the start of it, right? There's a huge, I mean, almost a 3 to 4 months sort of an investment in terms of your time and commitment to just get your application out there, right? So if you could briefly just talk about that as well.
Sure. For me, I found it quite helpful to network with
Yeah,
alumni and current students of the schools that I was interested in. Additionally, I also set up some webinars and one-on-one sessions with school representatives, which gave me a broader understanding of the culture prevalent at each of these schools that I'm applying to. Furthermore, working with you, Abhinav, that really helped me narrow down what I was
yeah.
maybe the cluttered mindset that I had and made it more focused on what I wanted to do and also what I should be focusing on. So that helped a lot from consolidation effort as well.
Understood. And how did you go about your essays and the recommendations? Any sort of tips on
Uh,
those?
yeah, of course. Um, I guess that was more of a two-way process between the two of us,
Yeah,
and it really helped that I was able to like brainstorm with you even before giving you a draft, brainstorm, throw out a bunch of ideas at you to get your understanding and perspective of what would be impactful from my experience in my life.
yeah,
Once we got that in place, then I would just throw a brief blurb at you, which
yeah,
could have been a bunch of nonsense, and we went back and forth with multiple iterations of each one of those drafts, and honed in on what would make a compelling story, and make it grammatically correct, and also get it to a point where it tells a story through
yeah.
the structure of the essay. So the essay editing process went somewhat like that. From a reference standpoint, I also had to reach out to my managers, direct managers, past managers, to get people who really knew me from both a professional and a personal level. Finding somebody who can truly speak about your strengths and weaknesses is more important than finding somebody who just, praises
Mhm.
you all the time or uh, sp- uh, speaks your plaudits all the time. So finding the right person to refer you was quite important as well.
Okay, and then after that, I think in terms of your interview, you interviewed with two schools, right? I think the only two schools, in fact, you ended up applying to. So if briefly, if you can just talk about those experiences as well, and what sort of what your recollection was. I understand it was quite some time ago, but that entire experience and how you went about that as well.
Sure. For clarity, I applied to Imperial College in London and I applied to IMD in Lausanne, Switzerland. They were both quite different. Imperial was more, I guess, run of the mill, out of the box kind of interviewing process, where I just had a couple of interviews with alumni and AdCom members, mostly running through my motivation, some of my background, running through my resume, some behavioral type questions before leaving some time for me to ask them questions as well. Pretty cookie cutter in terms of just general recruiting, even in the workspace.
Yeah,
IMD was different and quite unique from my experience. They had a full day assessment day where they had multiple rounds where they would gauge your leadership potential. They would also gauge how you interact with other candidates, how you would react in pressure situations and stressful situations. I
yeah,
think the takeaway from that was I don't think there's really a right answer to a lot of things, but what they were trying to do is challenge your critical thinking as well as see how you perform in a leadership situation in a group setting or when you're really under the pump, right?
yeah.
um, and that was very unique and really spoke to how personalized their process was right from the recruitment stage, and they also pride themselves on making their program quite personalized as well. So yeah, that really stood out for me.
So I think both are pretty solid options, right? Imperial in the UK and then IMD in Switzerland, right? Both of them are really I mean, both of them are like probably the top schools in Europe, and both of them have really good programs, all 1 year. So, I mean, which one have you sort of shortlisted, or it's still in the process? And and what was the reason? What was the rationale behind shortlisting that particular school?
Sure. I'm quite keen to pursue an MBA degree at IMD in Lausanne. I think what set it apart is, first of all, its reputation and its alumni network stands their own in terms of
Yeah,
prestige and also in terms of helpfulness and connecting us to each other. But what really stood out to me was how intimate the environment was, how intimately connected the professors were. From a faculty to student ratio, it's very low. I think it's like 2:1 even.
okay.
And that kind of personalized attention is something that I was quite interested in. On top of that, they're very leadership focused in terms of how they structure their program. Whereas other schools have other strengths. The drive to perhaps hone the leadership skills in me is what pushed me more down the IMD track in my decision making. And I mean, the prospect of living in Switzerland for a year didn't
Yeah.
hurt as well.
Understood. And this is just to let everyone know that you already had a scholarship also from Imperial Business School. So if you can just maybe mention what it was and, I mean, what it felt like leaving that scholarship for IMD.
Yeah, that was big. I got a couple of scholarships actually at Imperial. One was the Imperial Excellence Award, which was for £10,000, and then I got the Dean's Impact Award as well for my work in energy and sustainability. This again spanning across my education and professional backgrounds. So the £35,000 was more than 50% of
Yeah.
the overall cost of tuition. So it wasn't an easy decision to forego that to pursue the IMD option, but I think I made the right decision.
Understood. So I think this has been a pretty interesting journey overall, right? So, post your IMD MBA, what plans do you have? I mean, are you looking to sort of pivot your industry, function, geography? What's on the cards, post the MBA?
Sure. I don't know if pivot is the right word. I
Okay.
think more of build on my energy background, but build in a different way and make an impact in a different way. I'd alluded to the fact that I'm interested in the sustainability angle and the green energy angle. So
Yeah.
what I want to get out of the MBA is, first of all, develop my business skill set and then maybe move into more of a corporate role where I can make an impact in sustainable energy transition.
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand both sides of the energy equation, which is brown energy and green energy, to balance like a yin and yang. It's not
Yeah.
helpful to know just one side. So I want to draw off of my experience in the past and then build off of my sustainability driven educational background and make an impact either in a high level consulting, or maybe even move into one of the energy giants who are pumping a lot of money into energy solutions of tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's something that I would really be interested in.
Okay, no, that sounds like a good plan because obviously sustainability is the new thing. And I mean, it's going to be increasingly important, given the climate crisis going forward. So, Monish, from your entire experience, any key takeaways or any advice that you'd have for potential applicants who are looking to, pursue their MBA? And mind you, we have a lot of applicants both from India, China, a lot of emerging markets who are looking, to maybe head to the US or Europe. So something that, I mean, probably you made the transition very early in your career through your master's degree, but something, that you probably want them to keep in their mind while sort of planning this entire undertaking.
Yeah, I think really focus on what you want to get out of your program, because
Yeah,
that will dictate your choices in terms of geographic location on where you go. I think I am a little bit uniquely placed, maybe compared to other candidates, where I already have the US degree and I also already have the US work experience. And America has a lot of good stuff to offer. So I think really understanding what your priorities are in terms of career aspirations, in terms of what the country can give you in terms of stability, uh, you know, um, career opportunities, work visa situations, that will really dictate what you want out of a program. I think most MBAs can give you the learning angle of it, but particularly out in different, some are better in networking, some are better in finance, some are better in leadership, like IMD. Really focusing on what you want to get out of a program rather than going in with a ranking mindset where you just pick
yeah,
the top 10, top 20 schools and apply. And also then what I've understood through the process is it's each application is quite unique to the school. So it takes a lot of time to craft each application and also takes a lot of time to personalize each application to make the most impact. So focusing and narrowing on a smaller set of schools rather than just applying to 10 or 15 would be better for your overall success, I suppose.
no, that's helpful. Yeah, I think again, pretty much everyone I talk to just has a ranking methodology. I want to get into the top five, top seven, top 20, whatever it is. But I think that's not the right approach. There's a lot of nuances and every individual's journey is very different, right? From where they're coming and where they want to go. And that's why I think the set of schools and what they can deliver will be very different, in terms of the overall experience and in terms of the overall career outcome. And obviously, some people may be having focus towards, getting the highest job, highest paying job, but whereas other people may want to, like you, may want to make a lot more impact and, sort of derive a lot more satisfaction out of that. So I think there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a matter of, figuring out what you want to do and what sort of which program probably would make the best sense. So yeah, I think thank you so much for your time. It was really a great experience, just connecting with you, learning about your overall journey. And as I said at the start, right, it's been a very unique journey because you started off from India, you did your master's in the US and spent some time there, built a good corporate track record, and then suddenly and then decided to maybe diversify your experience by sort of kickstarting your career in a different geography. So I think that way, I think it will probably be a good learning experience for a lot of people who have already completed their MBA, but they should be actually looking at changing their geographies and their industries to just diversify their professional skill set. So thanks a lot for that, and I mean all the
Yeah,
best
of
for your
course.
MBA. Yeah,
And of course, and if I could, the experience of working with you has been great.
yeah.
Genuinely, I consultants is you're not transactional in the that you helped me, which I found to be the case with some other people that I worked with. It was very you choose this, you get this. It was you pay for this, you get that. You're not like that. I felt like you really lived through the journey of my application process with me. You also helped keep me accountable. Sometimes with life getting in the way, be it professional or personal, things got lost in the background. So I'm quite thankful for the fact that you kept me accountable and you kept me focused. And again, you didn't force me to, apply to more schools. Sometimes when I said, Abhinav, I don't feel like doing this, maybe I should continue the work path. While it may not have been conducive to the business that you're trying to build, you still
Yeah.
took a personal vested interest into help give me the best person. So that's something that really made you stand out, and I'm thankful for your input genuinely.
Sure. No, I mean, even for me, it was a very good experience working with you, just getting to know your story and this understanding, what you want to do. So I think it was a pretty positive experience overall. And I think every positive experience, down the line sort of translates into a good positive outcome. So I think that's why, for a lot of people who are just sort of, going with the name consultants, paying those big dollars, I mean, I don't know, you should just maybe take a step back and figure out, that whether it will be a really good engagement, so to say, that you will be working with, or, are you just going in for the name and the dollar and the, the marketing bit. So I think thanks a lot, Monish. I mean, it was a pleasure connecting with you. And yeah, we keep in touch and figure out how you sort of progress even during your IMD MBA. Okay.